Imagine yourself waking up along the banks of the mighty Tigris and Euphrates rivers, some 4,000 years ago. The sun rises slowly over the fertile plains of Mesopotamia, where the first cities began to take shape. Here, in what we now call modern-day Iraq, life hums gently between the rhythms of agriculture, trade, and the silent rituals that bind a community. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and baked clay, the faint murmurs of early civilization whispering through narrow streets and mud-brick homes. Today, we will explore the quiet, daily lives of the ancient Mesopotamians, far beyond the dramatic tales of kings and conquests. We'll journey through the bustling markets where barley and wool change hands, the scribe's shaded chambers where cuneiform tablets capture the world's earliest stories, the mysterious temples where gods are honored with subtle rites, and the contrasting lives of common folk and elites alike. So, settle into a comfortable position and allow yourself to drift slowly through time to a world both distant and quietly familiar. Imagine yourself as a farmer tending to a small plot of land beside the Euphrates. The soil is heavy, sticky with recent floods, and the air carries the faint aroma of freshly turned earth. Your day begins before the sun fully rises, with the steady rhythm of drawing water from the canal. Water is life here, carefully managed, and a constant struggle. The work is hard, with hands raw from constant labor, but the crops barley, wheat, and dates must grow to feed your family and pay your taxes. You move to the nearby marketplace in the afternoon, where merchants shout softly to one another across stalls lined with woven baskets of grain, pottery, and bundles of wool. The sharp scent of spices drifts through the air, mingling with the earthy smell of dried fish and leather. Bartering is a precise art. A handful of barley might be traded for a length of fabric or a clay pot. As you weave between the crowd, the cacophony of everyday life, children playing, animals braying, and the clatter of carts creates a soothing, familiar background noise. The sun sets slowly, casting long shadows over the city walls made of sun-baked bricks. You return home to a simple meal, flatbread dipped in date syrup and a thin soup made from lentils. The family gathers quietly around the fire, speaking softly in the flickering light. As night falls, the distant sound of temple chants rises on the breeze, a reminder of the gods who watch over your small, persistent world. Now, imagine yourself stepping softly across the stone courtyard of the grand temple complex in Ur, around 2300 BCE. The sun is high, casting a golden glow across whitewashed walls and soaring ziggurats. Inside the temple precincts, you would find Enheduanna, priestess, poet, and daughter of the great Akkadian king, Sargon. Her world is not one of quiet farming, but of incense-thick halls, ceremonial hymns, and the precise rituals required to maintain harmony between gods and mortals. As high priestess of the moon god Nana, Enheduanna carries the burden of both political alliance and spiritual intercession. Her role is both sacred and strategic, uniting the people of Summer and Akkad under her father's reign through shared religious devotion. You might picture her seated in her scriptorium, an oil lamp flickering beside clay tablets. With a stylus in hand, she composes verses to Inanna, the goddess of love and war, lines that would echo across millennia. Lady of the largest heart, she writes, "O you of radiant heart, I will recite your fury." Her poetry, among the earliest written words preserved in human history, was not only prayer, it was power. Through her hymns, she shaped theology, gender roles, and even politics. Yet Enheduanna's life was not without turmoil. When her father died and political factions rose, she was cast out of her temple during a rebellion, her position and safety stripped away. And still, she returned. Reinstated after political tides shifted, she would continue to write, her voice carved into wet clay, left to dry under the same Mesopotamian sun you imagined at the start. Her words were meant for the gods, but they outlasted kings. Her story reminds us that even in the earliest civilizations, women shaped the divine and chronicled the cosmos not with armies, but with language. In the silence of night, with only the hum of the city beyond temple walls, Enheduanna's voice, gentle, firm, and lyrical, might have been the last thing heard before sleep. Now, let your thoughts drift southward, beyond Ur and Uruk, past the familiar names of ancient Summer, to a quieter, more mysterious place, Eridu. Once considered the first city ever created by gods in Mesopotamian belief, Eridu now lies in silence beneath layers of desert dust. Imagine the gentle crunch of sand underfoot as you approach a vast, low mound barely distinguishable from the horizon. Archaeologists believe this is what remains of a once mighty ziggurat, the temple of Enki, god of water, wisdom, and creation. Yet unlike the towering, restored ziggurats of yore, this one never yielded its full secrets. Excavations in the mid-20th century uncovered 17 layers of temples, each built atop the previous, like stacked memories of devotion, each layer smaller than the last, as if the worshippers of Enki were slowly retreating into the past. Clay figurines, offering dishes, and mysterious seals were found, mute relics of vanished rituals. Some archaeologists whispered theories of ancient flood myths, of Eridu as the prototype for later religious cities like Babylon. The ziggurat itself, if it ever stood high, was likely made of sun-dried mud brick, long since dissolved by wind and time. What remains are foundations, altars, and unanswered questions. What ceremonies once echoed within these walls? What voices sang beneath the moonlight? One especially puzzling find was a carved stone basin, placed deep beneath the lowest temple level, with drainage canals and offering pits around it. Was this for purification, blood rituals, or something symbolic? Water returning to Enki, god of the abyss. The basin is dry now, the canals choked with silt, but their arrangement still suggests intentioned design without surviving explanation. And so Eridu lingers in half-light, the ghost city of the Sumerian south, whispered about in ancient king lists and hymns, forgotten by most, even in antiquity. Yet its place in human imagination is profound, the cradle of divine authority, the city where gods first walked, and possibly where the story of cities themselves began. Let the dust settle again, and listen to the wind over forgotten stones. Now, imagine yourself no longer among the dusty merchants or humble scribes of the street markets, but instead within the shaded courtyards of a Sumerian noble's estate. The heat of the day is muffled by thick mud brick walls, and the soft splashing of a central fountain mingles with the rustle of linen garments. Here, in Ur, Lagash, or Nippur, the elite live lives both ordered and opulent. The Sumerian nobility were a strange mix of religious prestige, administrative burden, and wealth derived from land and tribute. Their homes were often 2 stories tall, with interior courtyards for light and airflow, no windows open to the street. Privacy was prized. As a member of this class, your days were filled with audiences, records, and rituals. You might begin your morning with a ceremonial washing of hands, an offering to household gods, and a quiet dictation of accounts to your personal scribe. Yes, literacy was rare, even among the elite. Then, perhaps a short walk to the ziggurat, not as a priest, but as a benefactor, offering silver or grain to support the temple staff and maintain your family's good standing. In the evenings came the banquets. Picture a gathering under the stars, oil lamps casting warm halos of light. Low tables were filled with barley cakes, dates, roasted lamb, and beer served in tall jars, drunk through straws to avoid sediment. Entertainers would sing, dance, or recite epic tales. Fragments of the Epic of Gilgamesh may have been performed this way, long before they were etched into tablets. And appearances mattered. The men oiled and curled their elaborate beards, symbols of status and dignity. Their garments, sheepskin kilts or fine linens, were often dyed and embroidered. Women, if from noble households, might wear elaborate headdresses, their roles often defined by religious service or family alliances. Yet power was never simple. The elite were not entirely free. They were beholden to kings, gods, and complex bureaucracy. Taxes had to be collected, reported, and paid. Military service could be called. And politics, even then, was a dance of favors, loyalties, and quiet threats. Still, there was comfort. There was legacy. Their names were inscribed in foundation tablets, buried in the walls of temples, meant to last for eternity. Some succeeded. Others, like the lords of Eridu, faded with the sands. As the night deepens, imagine that final hour, when the noise of the banquet has ebbed, the lamps have dimmed, and the stars shine softly over the flat roofs of the city. The noble reclines, not in luxury as we imagine it now, but in that ancient balance of pride, tradition, and a constant awareness of the gods. As we leave behind the warm plains of summer, the whisper of the Euphrates fades into the distance, replaced once more by the quiet stillness of your own room, your own present. You've wandered through sun-baked cities, alongside scribes and priests, merchants and monarchs. You've felt the dusty wind on your skin, tasted the bitterness of medicine brewed from reeds and bark, and heard the soft chanting in temples long buried beneath the earth. History is never only about battles or rulers. It is found in the quiet repetition of daily tasks, in the etching of cuneiform lines onto soft clay, in the patient boiling of barley over a hearth, and in the hush of a prayer spoken before dawn. It lives in what remains fragments of tablets, the curve of a ruined wall, the worn steps of a ziggurat. What endures is not only the rise and fall of kingdoms, but the rhythm of human lives lived in devotion, in struggle, and in hope. And as your mind settles, perhaps you can still hear the gentle tapping of a reed stylus against wet clay, or the faint sound of sandals brushing against the dusty streets of yore. Let these echoes accompany you now, not with urgency, but with peace. Let them carry you to sleep. Tomorrow will come with its own noise, but for now, you rest in the silent embrace of a forgotten world.